Hey, good morning, guys, or afternoon, whichever it may be at this point for you. Um, so I wanted to talk about human connections today. It seems like a basic thing that we all live through and deal with and have and enjoy and appreciate. Um, they're not always easy, though. The older I get, the more I realize, like, actually making friends is a hard thing. Like as a kid, you had 30 kids around you. You could just find somebody you actually had something in common with. Like these days, it's more of you guys, like more people that I surround myself with on the internet or whatever that I connect with more because people around me aren't really like me. Just to be honest, but also human connections never been the thing that I've been good at. I don't know why that is. I mean, I have some opinions. I have some thoughts about it. I mean, growing up as a kid, I was kind of um I guess I would say I was picked on. I guess and it's strange. I was picked on for really stuff that had no bearing on who I was. It wasn't like my personality was the problem. It wasn't like it was the brand of shoes that I wore and the brand of clothes that I wore. Basically because my family wasn't as wealthy as the other kids I went to school with. So it's like, I learned, I learned then, like as growing up, that human connection could be cruel. And I also learned from that, like it took me a long time into my adulthood to learn my own self value. I had to figure out that I didn't really care what other people thought because I grew up my whole life thinking that, and that inbred in me a sense of negativity towards human connection. Like, you know, were these people that I was going to try to connect to in the future, how are they going to feel about me because X, Y, and Z that happened when I was a kid? It's absurd. It really is. But that is the kind of things that happen through life. And you can't control it. You can only manage it. And you can only come to terms with yourself. That's one thing that I want to start talking about more is self-awareness. Um, It's something that I think everybody struggles with. I struggle with it myself. And knowing just who you are changes a whole lot about how you react to the world, how you act in the world, and, how you carry yourself into things. And not knowing who you are just leaves you kind of just, throwing darts blindly. And also, when you don't know who you are, it allows other people to manipulate that view of yourself. Like, not wearing Abercrombie and Fitch and American Eagle and all that stuff as a kid, made me feel like I was lesser of a person than them because of the clothes they wore. How absurd is that in life, really? I mean, it's absurd. But it also didn't just affect my value, but it affected the way I connect with people. Relationships later in life were struggled by that because Um, I didn't understand those basic connections because I didn't connect with a whole lot of people who weren't, pretty much just like me. You get this sense that as relationships you go into, friendships or romantic relationships or whatever, you get this sense that um, what's the point? They're going to fail because they have failed, and that's been the go-to response in a lot of things. And the ones that don't fail, sometimes they're bad, sometimes they're good. Now, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that everybody in the world has a bad relationship, has bad experiences. But one thing I've realized is that uh, people who people who aren't set in marriages and set in long-term friendships and stuff, single people, we find it easier to just stay that way. We find it easier to just stay to ourselves. Find it easier to just be hermits. Find it easier to just be loners uh, because history has told us that the effort and time it takes to putting into somebody else, really connecting to them, most of the time, it's not in the favor of things being positive. It's always, this person's gonna fail me, gonna let me down, hurt me, gonna, just not live up to any kind of standard, and therefore, and it's not just that, but we from that point start to set a standard so high that, we set it to a place where other people couldn't possibly reach that standard, making it even harder for us to be involved in any kind of relationships or friendships or whatever. And you know what? I want to change that in my life. I really want to break away from that. I really want to rise above that. People are worth the time and effort, and even if those relationships only last, a week or two or a couple days, the moments that you spend in life are sometimes more valuable than the decades. We always talk about the moment I knew things changed in my life, or the moment I realized things were bad, or the moment. It was always the moments. It's never the decades, that we look back to that changed, that pivotal moment, we say. So maybe it's time that, I myself, and maybe some of you out there that's listening to me that can relate, can see this in a new light and say, you know what, maybe it is positive. Maybe I will give the moments a chance instead of holding myself back from the world, really, because that's what it is. It's what we do. And hopefully I've said something today that connects with somebody, can understand how I've felt and what I've been through, and maybe we can make a change and a difference. Guys, let me know down in the comments, things that you want to hear and talk about in the future. We can start a conversation that way. And, if I've touched you in any way with this conversation that I've started with you guys today, let me know. Let me know how you feel about human connection. But anyways, guys, we will see you later. We'll talk to you. Bye-bye.